What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Third Eye Cyphs. Did I do that right? I don't even know anymore. But what is up? How are you? How are you doing? Hold on, I need to lift up this microphone because I feel like I'm slouching to talk to you guys. Hold on. Oh my god, I'm balancing this microphone on one hand because I am amazing. Okay. All right, guys, we're here, we're queer. And is this loud? It's loud to me. Okay. So I put on this Samhain playlist for meditation and for Samhain or Samhain. If you don't know what that is, well, welcome, because you're here to find out. But first and foremost, welcome to ThirdEyeCyphs. I am Natalia, your host, and this is a podcast for probably everything and anything. No, mainly, we talk some good stuff here, guys. We talk some spirituality, we talk some esoteric knowledge, we talk some philosophy, we talk conspiracies, we talk all of it, and it's a good conversation, guys. We don't really have any biased opinions here. It's more like, what the hell is this? What is this meat suit that we are sitting in, and how do we survive this? So, welcome. We're all human here, so it's gonna get good. Now, how are you guys doing? How are you doing? This month has been crazy for me. Honestly, what did we talk about last week? Taoism? We did talk about Taoism last week. Well, it's the end of the month, guys. Today is October 30th, All Hallows Eve. Tomorrow is Halloween, October 31st here in America. And we're going to be talking a little bit about it. And, we kind of mentioned previously a little bit about Samhain or Samhain, however you want to pronounce it, or Samhain, as some may pronounce it, how I've pronounced it for years. And I don't know if that's Samhain. I don't think that's correct. I mean, I feel like I've heard somebody say it, and then maybe that's why I was pronouncing it like that. But then this whole time I'm like, wait, is Samhain and Samhain something completely different? But Samhain is spelled Samhain, so I don't know if I was pronouncing it wrong. I probably was. But yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about that. It's 9 in the morning right now. It's actually about to be 10. I'm getting a late start on the day. My cat, Haku, actually just got spayed/neutered, whatever the hell, yesterday. And she's a psychopath. She just got her insides ripped open and taken out. And she's here running around, jumping up and down, banging into stuff. It's been stressful, guys, but if you know me and you've heard my most previous episodes, stress is not my cup of tea at the moment. But yeah, so anyways, it is about to be Halloween tomorrow. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. Next to Christmas, honestly, I think I always would say Halloween was my favorite holiday ever. And then I started gravitating a lot towards Christmas over the years. I don't know why. I think it's just so pretty. It's so nice and comfy. But I always have loved Halloween. So yes, we're going to be talking about that. And yeah, anyways, back to you guys. How are you doing? How has this month been for you? How is this month closing up for you? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you drinking water, as my aunt loves to remind me that I say? Are you eating healthy? Are you taking care of your mental health? Are you trying not to get stressed out like me? Are you going outside? Are you enjoying the new weather? If the seasons change wherever you are, if it's getting colder, if it's getting hotter, maybe it's getting hotter where you are. Maybe you're moving from the cold to the hot. That would be very interesting. If you are, I would love to talk to you and see how that's going for you, because that sounds pretty cool. Somebody on the other side of the world, because I know there are listeners right now who are on the other side of the world, so maybe it's a tad bit different. So yeah, I hope you guys are well. I'm great. I'm hanging in there, guys. This past week was very odd since the last time we talked. I may have mentioned, I'm trying to get back into routine, but mostly taking care of myself. I've been doing yoga teacher training. But this past week, it was really weird. I kind of spiraled down really fast. And I didn't get anything done whatsoever except my work that was necessary. And that was really it. It was kind of sad. I feel like I'm coming out of it now because, like, the way I'm talking right now, I seem like I'm in a pretty good mood. But these past few days actually have been pretty hard. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's the energy, maybe. I mean, you guys hear me. I talk about astrology sometimes. Mercury is in retrograde. I think Mercury is in retrograde. I'm pretty sure it just went into retrograde recently. Mars is still in retrograde, I believe. I think it might be coming out soon. But anyways, it could be something that has to do with that. I don't know too much about that. I just hear about it and then I learn about it and then kind of try to relay information to you guys. But I'm not going to be like this and that and that. Like, I really don't know. So it could be an energetical thing with the planets. It could just be another or the continuous shift that is happening in consciousness at the moment. Those I am aware of. It's really weird. Like, when there's like kind of like a major energetical shift, I like absolutely feel it and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then I later hear on about it, like, oh, we just went through this portal and blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh yeah, that fucking explains it. It could be that. I don't know. It could be me trying to deal with the whole stress thing that's been happening. But either way, I'm coming out of it, guys. But this past week, I didn't really do anything. And yeah, it was kind of like this. So if you didn't listen, if you haven't heard I think it's like my most previous 3 episodes, or if you're just new to the podcast, I broke out in hives literally the day of doing a podcast, and I was freaking out over it because that's never happened to me before. And it eventually turned out that it might have been mostly from stress, which is very odd because I've never been stressed, I don't think. Well, I mean, not that I've been aware of, enough for something like that to happen. So I've kind of been on this, self-healing journey, like trying to take my time with stuff, not overwork myself. So by doing that, I was putting more stuff on me to take care of myself. It was really odd. Like, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do anything that I don't want to do because it's just going to stress me out. And I'm going to start doing more stuff that I want to do. So then I start doing a bunch of stuff that I want to do. But then I'm doing so much stuff that I want to do that I'm not getting the message that I need to take a rest. And that was mainly the main message: take a break or take a rest. And I started getting back into like doing a bunch of stuff, and it wasn't doing a bunch of stuff that I didn't want to do. It was doing a bunch of stuff that I did want to do, but at the same time, I'm still overworking myself. So I feel like the universe kind of like brought me back down for that reason, because then like at the moment where I started picking up pace and doing a lot of stuff again, I got on my moon cycle, which is a major sign to take a break and take a rest. So once I got it, I was like, oh, okay, all right, I get it. But then that kind of just transitioned to like a really weird depression or depressive state these past few days. But I'm okay now. I'm okay now, guys. Do you see what's happening to me? I'm not this type of person, but it's kind of like, it's weird. It's coming in waves. It could be a phase in my life. I have no idea, but I'm just sharing it with you to let you guys know that you are not alone in weird energetical shift, depressive things. Because I'm not really, okay, well, I don't want to say I'm not a depressed person, because I've dealt with depression for many years, but I'm not a depressive person. I'm not gonna like be walking around like, ooh, like super sad and stuff. That was like me like years ago when I was younger. But I've completely moved on from that, especially when I mainly found spirituality and integrated it into my life and realized that I'm in complete control of my reality. I'm in complete control of my emotions and my mind and my thoughts. And once that started entering my life and I became fully aware of that, I completely transitioned out of that. So to be in this kind of state is kind of odd, because it kind of feels like it's my doing, but it kind of feels like it's like a timing thing and then like a message, and I don't know. It's all weird, guys. But anyways, enough of me. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's first start off. Wait, should I put an ad in here? I guess I'll put an ad in here. Let's go now. Okay, so what we have to talk about today was number 1, Samhain or Samhain or Samhain, whatever it is that you want to call it. If it's correctly pronounced, I'm going to say Samhain. Samhain. I guess I'm going to say Samhain. So Samhain, what is Samhain? So Samhain is the original Halloween, or where we get our Halloween from. Now, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about how we got Halloween, if you guys don't know how this all kind of happened. So, Samhain is a holiday celebrated by the Celts, or the Celtic, way back then, when, they were all still in Europe, and, Celtics were, that was the thing. It's kind of like a dying thing now. I think I've asked a few Irish people, if they're Celtic, but they're not. Like, not a lot of Irish people are Celtic anymore. It's kind of like a dying religion or spirituality. But it is beautiful, and it is very similar to paganism. It may actually be the original paganism. I'm not too sure about that. But I think so. I haven't looked into it. You could double check. Don't take my word for like, oh, that's the original paganism. Like, I really don't know. But I would believe so, because a lot of ancient pagan traditions are also a lot of ancient Celtic traditions. So I think paganism may have stemmed from the Celts, but again, don't take my word for that. When I was younger, so when I was younger, maybe around 7 or 8 or 9, I think maybe 8, my mom had switched her religion from, I guess, Catholicism to paganism, or Wiccan at the time, and it was completely crazy for me because I had never heard of this. I was raised Catholic, but not very active. I didn't go to church every Sunday. Sometimes I went to church on Sundays, like on random days, or like Easter we would go to church, and I think maybe Christmas Eve, but I feel like that was rare too. So we weren't very active church members, but I think my mom got like her first communion and all that Catholic stuff, and then I think my dad too, maybe. And then, like, when I was younger, I remember they would tell me like, oh, you should get your communion, and blah, like, but why are you telling me this? Like, you're the parent. Like, I'm gonna voluntarily at 7 years old walk into the church and be like, I want my first communion. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. It's the parents that enforce religion on children. Wasn't very voluntary, but I never did any of that, even though they talked about it when I was younger. But anyways, when she switched to paganism and Wiccanism, Wiccanism, is that even a word? Wiccanism? Wiccan, it introduced me to different types of religions and spirituality, because I had I don't know if I knew other religions. I think maybe I knew Jewish existed. Oh, actually, of course I did, because I actually went to an elementary school that was predominantly Hebrew, and I learned about, dreidels and latkes and Hanukkah and all that stuff. And I knew a lot of Hanukkah songs too, a lot of Jewish holiday songs, because we would sing them at school. So I did know that Judaism existed, as well as Catholicism. I think I knew Christianity was different from Catholicism, but I knew that they were similar because they believed in God and Jesus, I think. I don't even know if that's I think, okay, no, Christians believe in Jesus, yes, absolutely. Catholics believe in Jesus, but they worship the cross. I don't know. I think that's like the difference. I don't really know. But anyways, that kind of just put me on to other spiritualities. So at the time when she first converted, I was very interested in paganism, and she was putting me on. She was bringing me to like these like cool pagan Wiccan stores, and I would get like a spell book, and she would kind of teach me this stuff as well as my aunt and my grandmother, because they also had gotten into this at the time. So I was learning about all this, and I was super into it. I like wore pentacle and everything, and I was super young. Like, I don't really know what it is, but I was very interested. It sounded very mystical and mythical, but they were making it seem real because it was their religion. It was what they were worshiping. So I was like, whoa, this is cool. This is real. Like, what is this? So I was very much interested in it. And I remember I would go to my mom's job. She would bring me to work with her, and I would just play on the computer. But when I was playing on the computer, I would be researching all this information about paganism and the history of paganism, and the Salem witches, the witch trials, and I would print out all this information. I had like a bunch of papers from Wikipedia, and I would read up on the history of it. I was very interested at the time. So all this stuff I feel like I knew way more about when I was younger. But anyways, that was kind of like what I think I may have known about if the Celtics were the pagans. I don't know. But anyway, Samhain, or Samhain, whatever, it marks the end of the harvest season. It's kind of like the Celtic New Year. And it just marks summer's end. It basically means summer's end. And it was a festival that they would do to celebrate the end of the harvest season. So I think it would start today on All Hallows Eve, and it would go on into November 1st or November 2nd. It's kind of like a 3-day celebration. And yeah, it was the Celtic New Year. It was the time between years. So now, between the years, so this time specifically, like between today, tomorrow, and the next day. And also, it's very interesting. We're kind of going to get into that right after I say this. But it's the time where the veil is the thinnest, where the dead can walk the earth. It is the time to communicate with the dead. It's like the thickness between dimensions thins very much. And this is kind of where Dia de los Muertos comes in, because now I don't know where the correlation is between that, because this is in Mexico, and this is something that the Celtics celebrated. So it's around the same time, and it's both around the time where they say the veil is the thinnest, where you can talk to the dead. Now, these are two completely different cultures. Now, it could be that maybe there was kind of a meeting between them back then where they met and they shared cultures. It could be somebody came from one culture and spread the news to the other culture, or it can be kind of a universal knowing thing where religions around the world, cultures around the world who had not met, who had not communicated with their traditions and holidays and all of that, had come to the conclusion that around this time the veil is the thinnest and we are able to communicate with the dead. So that is also very interesting. So anyways, this was around the time, during this time, they would do bonfires. It'd be like a bonfire festival. And they would create these bonfires to drive away the dead. So it's kind of different where, in Dia de los Muertos, they would have an altar with their family pictures. And this is also something that they do at Samhain, where there's a kind of a Samhain altar where you put pictures of your dead, of your dead family members, your dead friends, relatives, whatever it is, to kind of attract them. So there are different traditions. I'm not really going to go into different things that they do to kind of communicate, but originally they created bonfires to drive away the dead so they can go back to where, they usually hang out, I guess, not on Earth. But so when this happened, Catholicism was very much a big thing, and the Catholic Church had heard about, these practices or whatever the hell is going on in Samhain. So Catholicism, the church, merged it eventually, with Samhain, and they called it All Saints Day. And this was kind of a way for the church to get paganism out of here. Catholicism was the thing, paganism was so last year. So by saying they celebrate this holiday, the end of the year, the end of the harvest season, and it was kind of based around the dead walking the earth, they merged it with their holiday, All Saints Day, and it all has to do with communicating with the dead. So this eventually became Hallow Mass. Now, Hallow Mass means holy. Hallow means holy or saintly. So that's what the church ended up calling it. So it went from Samhain to Hallow Mass, the holy or saintly day. And then eventually turned into Halloween, right? So the night before Halloween is All Hallows Eve. And Halloween came to America during the potato famine. So this was all happening in Europe. This is when Catholicism was in Europe, the Celtics were in Europe. But when the Irish had came to America during the potato famine, they had brought Halloween to America. And they would do all this bad stuff. They would it was mostly, it wasn't even they were doing bad stuff. It was mostly, playing tricks on each other. They would steal gates off of, front gates from people's properties and stuff as a prank. But eventually, by the 1930s, it kind of became a dangerous holiday. Not a dangerous holiday, but more of a bad holiday. And more people were vandalizing. Rather than just playing tricks, they were actually vandalizing, destroying stuff, breaking stuff, stealing stuff. And they would, in order to bargain, the people of the houses that don't want their places vandalized, they would give them treats and like candy and stuff so that they wouldn't vandalize their house, and then they would just leave the house alone. So then that eventually became into a thing where they would kind of bargain for candy instead of, you know, them playing tricks or, you know, vandalizing their stuff. So that eventually became trick-or-treating, where they would offer the treats instead of the tricks. So it's kind of like, I wonder if they were like, all right, you're gonna give me a treat or you're gonna get a trick, or like however they said it back then, to you know, get their things. But then like now it's just, it is what it is now, but it seems more interesting back then, right? Like, don't you wish that you were around during that time to experience that kind of Halloween? So I love Halloween personally. I'm originally from the East Coast. There is a thing in the East Coast called Devil's Night, or Mischief Night, and I think Devil's Night is more what they call it in Detroit. I think it originally started in Detroit, and it is All Hallows Eve. It is the night before Halloween that you do badass stuff. So this is kind of a thing that's in the tri-state area, but even though Detroit's not in the tri-state area, I think that's where it originated. It is a thing they do in Pennsylvania. It is a thing they do in New York. I think they might do it in New Jersey. That is, those 3 states are the main tri-state area. But it's not very popular. Not too many people know about it. But it is the night before Halloween that you do bad stuff. So you vandalize, you slash tires, break windows, throw rotten eggs at houses or cars. Just like, you know, bad stuff, TP houses and trees. And that would always excite me when I was younger. I remember the first year I wanted to participate. And it was just by myself. It wasn't even like I was going to go with like a group of people or anything like that. I was like, oh my God, I just want to do bad stuff. And I ended the universe, this is so funny. I ended up getting really sick that night, and I ended up not doing anything, and I stayed home because I was so sick. So very interesting thing there. But I never tried after that. But I always loved Halloween. I always feel more alive during Halloween, just because like it feels like your inner wild person, or I don't know, that's just how I feel. I'm like a werewolf. Speaking of Halloween, tomorrow night is a full moon, guys, and not only is it a full moon, it is a full super harvest moon. It is the end of the harvest season, and it is a full moon. This is so powerful, guys. Now, I'm not very much of an astrologer type person, but I absolutely see how powerful this is. The energy that comes from a full moon. So full moon, new moon is a time to begin new things, begin new, adventures, endeavors, start envisioning what you want for the month or for that week. It's a great time for manifesting and implanting visions for what you want, right? But the full moon is the conclusion of the things. We're closing off, we're kind of reaping the benefits of what we had sowed from the new moon. So we're seeing an end of the cycle, an end of the harvest season, and it's closing off with a full moon. So this is very powerful, it's very auspicious. And it's just a very great time. I feel like a lot of crazy stuff is going to happen. The veil is the thinnest, and we have a full moon. There's going to be crazy people out, maybe. Who knows? But I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't put it past anybody. The waves of the moon are very powerful. So with that being said, I'm very excited that it is Halloween Eve. Tomorrow's Halloween. And yeah, it's very exciting. I'm curious to know, are you guys gonna, like, with this whole COVID thing, nobody's really gonna be trick-or-treating, but then I'm wondering, are people gonna be trick-or-treating? I feel like I haven't seen candy in on shelves or anything. I feel like they're not, they're trying to make people not trick-or-treat because of COVID. So I haven't seen too much candy anywhere, but I've seen like Halloween decorations. So I think they're discouraging people from going out and doing stuff. But I hope I find something. Or me and Justin are just going to walk around dressed up and be weirdos because we're cool. So yeah, that's that. I hope you guys have a wonderful Halloween. And let's continue on what we're going to talk about. So I did pull a card today. I pulled from the Native Spirit deck Oracle cards from Denise Lynn. And it was very interesting. I pulled this card earlier. I think I was shuffling it and it flew out. But I was like, I wasn't going to pick a card that flew out. So I just like put it back in and then I shuffled it. And then like, I think I eventually got the card again or something. I think I just got it again, and I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. I was right the first time. So the card that we had gotten is the Vision Quest card. Now this card, what it looks like is, it just looks like a bunch of rocks and then a horizon behind it. So it's kind of like you're in the middle of like a rocky desert, like in the middle of nowhere, but there's like mountains of rocks and stuff. And then behind it is the either setting sun or rising sun. So now what this card means is Sacred Seeker. Take time away from people and situations. Step back. Withdraw. Inner truth is emerging in stillness, but first you need to retreat. Know that you're guided. Look for your answers in different ways. The answers are around you. Watch for signs in the coming day. Trust that your life is being directed. So I think this is very interesting because as the end of the harvest season, it is the marking of the beginning of winter, right? Now, fall, winter, this is the time of hibernation, of going within, right? So this card, and it was funny because as I'm shuffling the card, I'm saying, what do we need to know for this harvest mood, for the end of the harvest, for the beginning of winter? And it is telling us to take time away from people and situations. Inner truth is emerging, but we need to retreat. So it's very much about going within ourselves, taking time to retreat, take time for ourselves to listen, to find out what we actually want. Now, your native spirit wants you to know, in earth-based cultures, larger visions of life are often answered on vision quests or solo retreats in nature. Now, questions such as, who am I? What am I meant to do with my life? What is my mission and my purpose in life? Those are often answered on quests of various kinds. Even if you don't have burning questions, when this card chooses you, it's telling you to take time away from your ordinary life. Take time to explore the depths of your soul. Your soul knows the truth. Take time to quietude to discover what it is. The answers to your questions are all around you, but you must be still to hear these messages. So it's very interesting to hear this as well, because more now than ever, and I feel like, I can't be alone in this, because I have said stuff, and I have a lot of you tell me that, the same themes are happening in your life at the moment. So at the moment, it's like every time I try to go out, not go out physically, but, do stuff, take action, right? The universe keeps forcing me and pulling me back inside with myself, making me deal with things with myself. Now, that is a major thing right now with Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde makes a lot of past things come up, a lot of past things that you may have not thought of or may not have dealt with may be coming up in your mind, in your dreams, and it's forcing you to look at them since you haven't dealt with them. So that is what the vision, this is a vision quest card. It is telling you it is time to go on a vision quest, to go on one of these quests or solo retreats in either nature or within yourself at home. So the journey, what it's telling you is to spend time alone, preferably in nature, without your cell phone and the internet, and even without pencil and paper or a book. Simply be. Listen to the world around you. Be still. Watch for signs. Open your heart to receive messages from the divine. It's very interesting, guys. It said, even without pencil and paper or a book. You may think as reflection as a time, sit down, journal, read, learn, but this is a time to go within, deep within yourself. Meditation is key. Even if you don't exactly meditate, just sitting with yourself, sitting with your thoughts, observing your thoughts. What is coming up? What is in your mind? What is in your body? What is in your soul? So, wonderful card, guys. Wonderful card. It is time to go within. It is the end of the harvest season. We are moving into winter. We are moving into a time of going deeper within ourselves and learning more about ourselves and the things that we need to deal with. So, for today's lesson, I I thought a lot about it, and I have been wanting to talk about Hinduism, so that is what we're going to be talking about. Last week's episode was on Taoism, probably one of my main spiritual paths next to Bhakti Yoga, which is a sect of Hinduism, I guess you could say. So we talked a little bit about, the main one, Taoism. That is my love, my heart. Taoism, the Tao. It's beautiful. Please listen to last week's episode if you haven't already. It is amazing. I also decided to do a thing where I'm going to read a quote from the Tao in every episode just because I love the Tao so much. And it's amazing to just listen to. So just to hear a quote from it and a reminder, and it could tie into your life. I'm just going to open up, since I have a physical book now, actually, I'm just going to open up a random page and read a verse from it. Not right now, but in the end of every episode. So, getting into Hinduism, I did not write anything down for this. I didn't plan any of this. I'm just going to go from the top of my head what I know about Hinduism, from my studies, from my practices. That's why I was deciding whether or not I should talk about it, since I didn't really dive deep into planning it. I can do a more in-depth episode of Hinduism, or specifically, certain topics in Hinduism. But since Hinduism is such a broad thing to talk about, it was kind of hard to, plan a whole thing, because it would have to be the whole episode. And I did want to talk a little bit about Samhain, and, Halloween and All Hallows Eve. So, that kind of, I knew that was going to take up some time, and I don't want to keep doing long ass episodes for you guys. I want to keep everything, give you your hour for the week. And that is that. So, getting right into it. Should I put on some, oh my gosh. I was going to say some, let's see how fast I can get it. Some chill namaste. It's a really cool song thing I like to play. Wait, I don't think it's chill. Namaste. Oh yeah, it is. Namaste, chill out. Alright, pause the Samhain music. Let's get into this. Okay. So, Hinduism. Oh my gosh. What is Hinduism? Let's start this off a little bit with a Google definition. A Google definition. Okay. Hinduism. Hinduism, a major religious and cultural tradition of South Asia which developed from Vedic religion. Okay, alright, I guess. Nobody's really... Okay, Hinduism is an Indian religion and dharma, or way of life. It is the world's third largest religion, with over 1.25 billion followers, and 15 to 16% of the global population are known as Hindus. Am I in that percentage? Who knows? Okay, so this is okay. Hinduism is the world's oldest religion, according to many scholars, with roots and customs dating back more than 4,000 years. Today, with about 900 million followers, wow, Hinduism is the third largest religion behind Christianity and Islam. Roughly 95% of the world's Hindus live in India. Okay. So this is very statistical stuff. What I'm going to tell you is, yes, Hinduism is known as the world's oldest religion. Now, it wasn't originally called Hinduism. It was actually called Sanatana Dharma, which means the last teaching, or the last teaching, or the last knowledge, or something like that. Sanatana Dharma, the last teaching, or the oldest teaching, or the ancient teaching, or something like that. And this is basically, it's the first religion. It is the first religion where all religions branched out from. So Buddhism actually came from Hinduism. I don't want to say like this also came from Hinduism, this also came from Hinduism, because I really don't know, but I do know Buddhism came from Hinduism. And actually the Buddha, so I don't want to go, the Buddha, okay, so I'll get into that. I'll hold my spot there while talking about the Buddha. So anyway, Sanatana Dharma, or Hinduism, is one of the oldest religions. Now, to kind of break it down in a way, the major belief system, that's where we'll start off. The major belief system. What do they believe in? Now, as you may have heard, Hindus believe in many, many gods. There are thousands of gods. Thousands of gods! That's insane, right? But it's not like how you think, where there's a sun god, there is a water god. There may be, actually. But it's not really, it's specified as, certain people like that, like as you would say maybe Greek mythology or even pagan religions, where there is a sun god, an earth god, a tree god, those kind of things. So what it is, it's so interesting because it's kind of like all a metaphor. It's like so literal, but also a metaphor at the same time. So let's talk about this and all the gods and what is this, right? So all the gods that Hindus actually believe in, they all are one god. So all of these 1,000 gods, they are all branches of the same tree. So what it is that they're actually worshiping is the tree, or the roots of the tree, right? The original seed. So what is this tree? What is this seed? You may have heard me mention it. It is Brahman. Brahman with an N at the end. Brahman. Brahman. And Brahman, what Brahman is the Tao. It is the all-encompassing source. It is the nothingness and everythingness. It is the creator and non-creator, the destroyer, the preserver. It is the darkness, the light, the heavens, the hell, literally everything and nothing. It is the Tao. It is God, the universe, and everything that we cannot comprehend. It is the incomprehensible. So that is Brahman, and that is Sanatana Dharma. That is the source of Sanatana Dharma. That is what this is, basically. Now, where the gods come in, since we cannot comprehend Brahman, since we cannot comprehend the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. When we speak of the Tao, when we speak of Brahman, we are not actually speaking of Brahman because it is incomprehensible. When we speak of Brahman, we are only speaking of what we can comprehend of Brahman, which is not Brahman at all because it is incomprehensible. So in order for us to try and perceive of what God actually is, since we can't actually, God is beyond time and space, and we can only think within time and space, we have to try to create a way to perceive God. So, by doing this, we created the 3 main gods. There is Brahma, no N at the end, Vishnu, and Shiva. So Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, Shiva, the destroyer. These are the 3 main gods, the 3 most worshipped gods of Hinduism. Actually, Brahman is actually not as popular. It is actually said that Brahman came from Vishnu. Vishnu is said to be the most powerful, I guess you can say, as well as Shiva. So those who worship Vishnu, you may know them as, there are so many different sects of Hinduism. It's not even funny. But those who worship Vishnu are called Vaishnavas, or you may know them as Hare Krishnas. So if you see them, they're like, oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you see them and they look like monks and they're chanting and dancing and just repeating this mantra over and over again. And they seem super happy. And this is the Maha Mantra. This is just reciting the names of God in order to spread that self-realization, that awareness, right, of Vishnu. So Vishnu is known to be the preserver, the one who preserves the things that happen here on earth, right? So Vishnu, okay, so Brahma is the creator. You would think that Brahma actually created everything that is here, and that is what is said. But it is actually said that Brahma came from Vishnu, that Vishnu was the first one here, and that that Brahma came out of Vishnu's belly button or something like that, which was very interesting. I haven't looked too much into that, but I know that Brahma does create universes and parallel realities, all of that. He creates worlds, creates this, creates that. So he is very much a creator, but the main ones that are worshipped for some reason are Vishnu and Shiva. Now Vishnu is the preserver. He maintains everything, maintains the balance, makes sure everything is okay, all of that. Now Shiva is the destroyer. Shiva is the one that will end everything in the end. Shiva is the Kali Yuga, is Kali, the destroyer, the end of times, right? So these three made gods, right? A story was that before there was Shiva, there was only Brahma and Vishnu, right? And now there was this one time where Brahma and Vishnu were like fighting about, I guess, who was the most powerful, or who was the actual creator, or I don't know, something like that. They were arguing over something, and out of nowhere, while they're fighting, a giant beam of light separates them, right? Goes all the way up into the air, and is this powerful beam, huge beam of light that they cannot pass. They can't even get near it without, like, being pushed off or getting shocked. And they're like, what the hell? Like, what is this that I cannot defeat? So both of them start going at it, like, trying to, get to the beam and try to see, but, nothing that they do can get to this beam. So they both agree, okay, one go underneath the beam and one go above the beam to see where the source is coming from. So I think Vishnu goes all the way down, or Brahma goes all the way down, and Vishnu goes all the way to the top to see where is the source of this beam. But it kept going for infinity. They could not find the source of it. They just kept going up, and one just kept going down, and they were like, what is this? So eventually they meet back at wherever they were fighting, and they're like, yeah, we can't find the source. What is this? And then once they do that, the beam collapses into itself and actually turns into Shiva. And that, at the moment, was when they realized, oh man, this guy, we have to recognize him as one of the three main great gods of this universe, or the multiverse, or whatever the hell, of everything, eternity. So that was kind of how Shiva presented himself. I don't know how he came about. It's kind of like asking, how did the universe come about? Or how did Brahman come about, So that's very interesting. But anyways, so those who worship Shiva are known as Shivites, I guess you can say. I posted the post that I posted on Instagram about Bhakti Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga episode that I advertised on Instagram. There's a picture in that slide of people wearing tilak. Now, the tilaks that I showed in that picture are a combination of Vaishnavas and of Shivites. So the Vaishnavas have like a golden kind of, it looks like one of those tuning forks, like a golden tuning fork going down the middle of their forehead, like towards their nose. So those are the Vaishnavas, and there's different types of Vaishnavas, so it depends on the type of design and color. But the Shivites have these white lines going across their forehead, some with a red line going vertical down. So those are the Shivites, and a lot of Shivites are very rugged and morbid, kind of like the Agori. The Agori are a type of Shivites that cover themselves in ashes, and they eat dead flesh, and they eat dead bodies, and eat out of skulls, and put bones around their bodies, like human bones, and they cover themselves in human ashes, mainly to show that everything is divine, even the dead, even dead ashes, dead bodies, that everything is divine, everything is divinity, everything is Shiva, everything is Brahman, right? So that's like one sect of Shivites, but there's so many different kinds. So those are the three main gods. Brahman's not too much worshipped, but Vishnu and Shiva really are worshipped. And now those gods separated into like a million different ones, especially Vishnu. So Shiva doesn't have really any incarnations, I guess you can say. So first let's start with Shiva. Shiva Shiva, if you guys may or may not know, there's something called Shiva Shakti. Now, all of these, both Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, they have a female counterpart. Now, this is to show the male and female aspect of the Tao, of the universe. There is male and female energy in everything, and that is not just gender, but energetical, right? So that's why we see it in human bodies. There is a male body and there's a female body. There is a male animal and a female animal, and this is how we procreate, right? But not only that, there's plants, there's male and female plants in order to breed the plants. There's this energy is just hosted in a lot of things, and not even in gender, because right now I'm just only naming gender stuff, but there is also the yin and yang is the best way to describe this. The energy, there are two opposing energies that flow within each other to make up the universe, right? This is prana and apana, right? So all of these gods have these female, the main ones have these female counterparts. So Shiva's counterpart being Shakti. And this is the combination of Shiva Shakti is that Kundalini energy, that awakening, that being in fullness with yourself, right? So with that, Shakti has all of these reincarnations known as Parvati. There's different stories where, one of them would die and then one would reincarnate. There's so many stories in Hinduism. It's really interesting, but there's so many different stories. Now, so Shiva's female counterpart is Shakti or Sati. She ended up dying, I think, how did she die? Oh, she actually killed herself because her father wouldn't accept Shiva as his husband. Or he was so upset. Like one time Shiva was late to their wedding, and he brought all these demons and ghouls and all this crazy stuff because he's Shiva. And the dad was not having it. So the daughter threw herself into flames to show her love for Shiva and to show I'm gonna kill myself if you're not gonna accept me and Shiva's love. So he was devastated. Sati died and eventually was reincarnated into Parvati. Now Parvati is most known as the most popular wife of Shiva. Now Shiva and Parvati eventually Parvati kept trying to tell him I'm devoted to you, please marry me, blah blah blah, but he was still so depressed over Sati that he couldn't realize that Parvati was actually the reincarnation of Sati. Eventually she proved her worth or whatever. They ended up getting married, and they had a kid, and their kid was Ganesha. Now you may know Ganesha as the elephant god. He's the one with the elephant head, known as good fortune. He's usually surrounded by coins and gold, and he's known as the god of good fortune, wealth, or prosperity. And this is Shiva's and Parvati's child wife. Oh my god. So that's kind of a little bit of that. Now Parvati, her reincarnations also include, Shakti really is Kali. Kali is that demon-looking kind of female god that you see destroying stuff. I spoke of the Kali Yuga. This is the last phase of humanity, right? This is the end of times. So she is known as to be destructive and all that, but she's very loving and caring. She's actually portrayed as that, but all of it comes from love. She's actually very caring and loving. Her symbolism is very caring and loving. She's the destroyer of ego. That's who Shiva is, the destroyer of ego, of attachment, to cut those bonds, to help you attain that full realization. More of her counterparts are Devi or Durga, Kali Ma. She is the mother. She is the mother. She is the universe, really. She is the mother, the female aspect of the universe, while Shiva being the male counterpart. Now Shiva doesn't really have any reincarnations. I don't think. I haven't heard of any of his reincarnations. I think he just is, maybe. And he can take form as, maybe he has, there's stories of him taking form as certain beings, and those beings have their own names. But I think he's still Shiva when he takes those forms. So I wouldn't say that they're reincarnations. But the one who does take reincarnations is Vishnu, because he is the preserver. He is the one who comes down to earth all the time to preserve, the unbalance or whatever's happening on earth. He's the preserver. So he reincarnates many times to help preserve the earth. So this is the main reason why Shiva doesn't have reincarnations, because he doesn't really come down to earth. This is all kind of multi-dimensional stuff where all of this is happening. It's not happening on earth, guys. This is happening in like some other dimension, but on earth probably, like Mount Kailash. That's where Shiva's from. I think all of that took place like in these places, but on a different dimensional level or on a different vibrational frequency, right? So Vishnu, some of his reincarnations, Vishnu is the original, right? Some of his reincarnations are, well, his most popular ones, I can't name every single one of them. I think his first reincarnation was like a fish or something, and he had to come back as a fish to feed someone, because if he didn't feed someone, then something was going to happen. And then he came as a monkey, and then he eventually started coming as a human. I think maybe his first human reincarnation might have been Ram or Rama, but I'm not too sure if that was his first human incarnation. But that is one of his most popular reincarnations, is Ram or Rama, and he is depicted with a bow and arrow, very princely, I guess you can say. I don't know too much about Ram or Rama, but I know that his reincarnation after Rama was Krishna. Now, we all probably have heard of Krishna. Krishna is a reincarnation of Ram or Rama or Vishnu, right? One of the main gods. So when we're worshiping Krishna or worshiping Ram, we are actually worshiping Vishnu. Vishnu is, everybody who worships Krishna understands that Krishna is actually Vishnu, but Krishna is a reincarnation of Vishnu. So Krishna has all these stories. He is known to be, I love Krishna, he is known to be this little boy, little ladies man, little trickster, little, prankster. He's always stealing milk from the gopis. All the gopis are in love with him. All the females in Vrindavan, which is where they're from, Vrindavan, love him. Like, every time they see him, they're like, oh, and he's like this little boy. He's like this little 5-year-old that they're like, oh, Krishna, he's so cute. I wish he was my son. Like, all of the women wish that he was, his son. I can go on talking about Krishna stories because I know a bunch of Krishna stories about how he came about. He's not originally from Vrindavan, but that's where he was raised. His mom, the mother who raised him isn't his actual mom. He was raised by somebody else. He was actually switched. So Vishnu came and gave I don't know the exact names of these people, but this lady, right? So this lady, she was giving birth, she was pregnant, and there was this king, I think his name was Drakstar, or I don't know, something like that. But he was very bad. He was a very horrible king, ruler, whatever. And somebody came to him, I think in a dream, or maybe somebody told him that the 6th son of this lady was going to kill him. And so what he did was imprison this lady until she kept having all these kids, until the 6th kid was born, so that he could kill the 6th kid so that it wouldn't kill him. So she was locked up for all these years, or the whole time of the pregnancy or whatever. And then, so he was waiting for her to give birth, so he could kill the kid. The second that she gave birth in her cell, right, time froze or something. I think Vishnu had froze time and said that he was going to switch the babies with somebody else who was in Vrindavan, the lady who actually ended up raising Krishna. So he parted the seas so that the father could walk the baby to that town to switch the babies. And Vishnu went into Krishna, which was going to be in the next town over, or whatever, wherever, not in the cell, with that baby or whatever. He switched the babies anyways, and then time resumed and he killed the baby. And once he killed the baby, it was actually a little baby girl. Once he killed it was the spirit of I think of Vishnu, and said, you tried to kill me, or something like that. I don't remember what he said, but he was like, you tried to kill me. The son you seek is not here but far away, where you'll never know, and he will kill you. And ended up disappearing or whatever into the spirit, and then the baby was gone, the one that he killed or whatever. It was never a baby actually, or something like that. So anyways, the lady whose baby that originally was the one that he killed was a huge like follower of Vishnu. So Vishnu blessed that woman with himself as her baby because she was a great deep follower or whatever of Vishnu. So he granted her Krishna, being the mother of Krishna or the mother of baby Vishnu. So then he was like, oh man, like and then the whole time that Krishna's a baby, he's trying to find Krishna because, you know, he knows he's gonna kill him. So there's a bunch of stories with that. But anyways, after Krishna, I think there was another reincarnation, and then back to the Buddha. Buddha was actually the 9th reincarnation of Vishnu. And Buddhism came, it started in India, spreaded all around the world. We got China, Japan, Thailand, all of those Asian countries mostly spread Buddhism, and Buddhism eventually branched out into a bunch of different sects. But I actually found that out by learning about Vishnu's reincarnations, and found out that the Buddha, or Siddhartha Gautama, was Vishnu's 9th reincarnation, or maybe 8th reincarnation. But it's very interesting stuff, guys. So anyways, so Brahma doesn't really reincarnate, mostly Vishnu. I don't think Shiva does, but there are reincarnations of the female aspect of Shiva, which is Shakti or Devi or Durga. So that is that. Those are the 3 main gods, and that is kind of how things branch off. So now Hanuman, as you know, Hanuman, he's like this monkey, well, he's known as the monkey god now. He was a great follower of Ram or Rama, and this is told in the Mahabharata, which is the story of Ram or Rama and Hanuman. And this is where Bhakti Yoga comes in, where devotion to guru or god. So Hanuman is the symbolism of that bhakti, of that devotion to Ram. So there many of these gods and stuff, they come in from these stories, and they come in from, you know, having kids. So then Ganesha has many stories of his own, but he is the son of Shiva and Parvati. Parvati has her own stories, Shiva has his own stories. And then you know, Ram had these wives. I think Ram's wife was Sita. I don't know. There's so many different kinds. There's so many different branches. If you look up Hinduism hierarchy or family tree, you're going to see how many branches there are, and where these certain people come from, and the different stories. So, and a lot of them are reincarnations of the same people, but they all branch back up to those 3 gods, to Vishnu, to Shiva, to Parvati, to Brahma. But those 3 all come back up to Brahma, the incomprehensible. And in order to try and comprehend the incomprehensible, we have to comprehend something. So we create these gods, and that represents certain stuff. So, you know, we have Shiva Shakti, the male and female. We have Vishnu, the preserver. We have all these aspects, and it depends on what you want to worship, what calls to you more, what draws you to whatever story that is more. Who are you more drawn to, right? And you learn many different lessons from different gods, different stories, all of these different things, and all of it it's all the same. It's all the same. You know it, you hear it, and it comes from all these different sources. And that's really what Hinduism is. But it's so much deeper than that. It's so intense. It's really hard, and it's a story of its own. It's a journey of its own. It's so much of its own. Going into Hinduism is starting an entire journey, learning about it's hard to learn about everything. It's hard to, but it's beautiful. It's amazing, and it's all in reverence to God. It's all in reverence to Brahman, or the Tao, or the universe, or whatever it is that you want to call it, source, creation. So that was just a little intro into Hinduism. Let me know what you guys want to hear more about it. If you want to hear me talk about specifically more certain people, certain gods. If you want to hear me talk more stories that I know of Hinduism, or just anything, or certain sects, more about the Gauri, more about the Vaishnavas, the Hare Krishnas, just anything, really. So let me know what you guys think. I have the Bhagavad Gita right here, which is one of the main texts of Hinduism. There are many texts, One of them being the Vedas. The Vedas are there are 4 main Vedas, and this is ancient stuff, guys, ancient texts, ancient knowledge, and this is where yoga comes from. Yoga is written, there's only like 2 chapters about asanas, like physical yoga, what people practice in studios, and the entire 4 giant things of the Vedas. There's only 2 chapters in one Veda that talk about asanas. So yoga, physical yoga and yoga studios that you see is probably only 1% of what yoga actually is. And yoga itself is the practice of self-realization. Yoga is the practice of Sanatana Dharma. These practices is yoga. So the Bhagavad Gita is one of the main books of Hinduism, and it is a story about Arjuna. He is about to go to war with his family, basically, and the person who is guiding him into war is Krishna, which is Vishnu, which is God, basically. So he has God as his counselor, as his mentor, talking him through this war as he's riding him. He's the charioteer as he's riding him into war, and he's giving him the knowledge of yoga, and he's giving him the knowledge of war and everything that he needs to do, because Arjuna, he doesn't want to fight his family, he doesn't want to fight his loved ones, but Krishna guides him through this and says, you have to do what you must do. It is an amazing story. It's a story, basically. Same thing like the Holy Bible. The Holy Bible is a story in its own. It's many different stories within one, but it kind of gets the main message out there. So the Bhagavad Gita is just one story, and that's Arjuna at war talking to Krishna. Now the Vedas are where the knowledge comes from, the supreme knowledge. Then there's, the Mahabharata, which I mentioned before, with Ram and Hanuman. And then there's the Upanishads. Those talk about, I think that's Vishnu specifically. I'm not too sure about the Upanishads, but those are very as important as the Bhagavad Gita. There's also, what else is there? I think there's the Upanishads. The Upanishads are also like the Vedas. I think maybe the Upanishads are within the Vedas. It's kind of like chapters within the Vedas. It's very broken down, but it's so much knowledge, guys. It's so much. And it's all based around self-realization, self-awareness, and self-knowledge. It's really intense. It's really insane. And that's why I'm so drawn to Hinduism, because it's not like you're just listening to a religion where it's like, God this, you must do this for God, and blah, 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 God. It's telling you how to attain God within yourself, to become God, to become that self-realized being. I'm going to open up a random page of the Bhagavad Gita and read something. This is maybe something, I don't know, that either Krishna says or Arjuna says. So let's see. I'm going to scroll through it. Open. All the hosts of demigods are surrendering before you and entering into you. Some of them, much very afraid, are offering prayers with folded hands. Hosts of great sages and perfected beings crying all peace are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns. O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form, with its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and bellies, and your terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I. So this sounds like Arjuna talking to Krishna. It's kind of probably towards the end where he turns into his horrid form to destroy the entire war. He says, all the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adyas, the Vasus, the Sadyas, the Visvedevas. These words are crazy. Visvedevas and 2 Asvis, the Maruts, the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yaksas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. O all-pervading Vishnu, seeing you and your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths, your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. So yeah, I think that's when he kind of showed his form and was like, I am the great master, or something. The whole cosmic order is under me. under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. This is Vishnu saying that. All created beings have their source in these two natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. The explanation says, everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Spirit is the basic field of creation, and matter is created by spirit. Spirit is not created at a certain stage of material development. Rather, this material world is manifested only on the basis of spiritual energy. This material body is developed because spirit is present within matter. A child grows gradually to boyhood and then to manhood because that superior energy, spirit soul, is present. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation of this gigantic universe is developed because of the presence of the super soul, Vishnu. Therefore, spirit and matter, which combine to manifest this gigantic universal form, are originally two energies of the Lord, and consequently the Lord is the original cause of everything. A fragmental part and parcel of the Lord, namely the living entity, may be the cause of a big skyscraper, a big factory, or even a big city, but he cannot be the cause of a big universe. The cause of the big universe is the big soul, or the super soul. And Krishna, the Supreme, is the cause of both the big and small souls. Therefore, he is the original cause of all causes. This is confirmed in the Katha Upanishad. So that is also said in the Upanishads. So the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata, these are all stories that are giving us ways to understand the Upanishads and the Vedas, right? So when we speak of, when it says, the Lord, Vishnu, Vishnu is the supreme, it's not, I wouldn't take it literally, but to take it literally. So Brahman is the incomprehensible. The way we can comprehend Brahman is through Vishnu. Vishnu is the supreme because Vishnu is Brahman. We are Vishnu. Vishnu is Brahman. We are Brahman. So when it says, my Lord, a lot of that stuff turns off people from different types of religion and spirituality because they don't want to call things God because of however they were raised. They were raised Christian or Catholic, and they're kind of traumatized by whatever teachings they were taught, and they don't want to consider things God. They don't want to say God. They don't want to say Lord. And it's absolutely fine because you don't have to. These are just words and titles that can only mention something that can't be comprehended. We can't actually say the title of God. Brahman is only the name of something that is incomprehensible, that it probably isn't even the name because it doesn't have a name. It can't have a name because it is not tangible. So anyways, that was just kind of some readings from the Bhagavad Gita, a little intro into Hinduism, the Upanishads, the Vedas, and yeah, again, let me know what you guys think, what you want to know more about. I am gladly to do it. I'm glad I got to, go a little bit into those stuff, and we can kind of move on to new things, So I'm going to leave us here, guys. I'm going to leave us here to ponder this stuff, to enjoy our Halloween, and it is what it is, guys. I'm so glad that we're here. We're here, and that's all there is. And I hope you have a wonderful week. I am so happy. I don't know why, just to talk to you guys. And I love talking to you. Please feel free to reach out to me. My Instagram is Natalia of Earth, Natalia of Earth, this planet Earth. And yeah, if you want to check me out, check it out. I got a blog. I don't think I write? I wrote on Wednesday. I usually write on Mondays, but again, I told you this week was really weird. If you guys want to check out my blog, it's thewritingsofnatalia.wordpress.com. But again, just go on my Instagram and all my links are there. Also on my website, there are a bunch of links, but that's also the writings of Natalia. So yeah, anyways, guys, I love you so much. I wish you the best of everything. I wish you a wonderful week. I can't wait to speak with you again and to talk to you about some more stuff. And that's it. I will close off with a verse from the Tao. That which shrinks must first expand. That which fails must first be strong. That which is cast down must first be raised. Before receiving, there must be giving. This is called perception of the nature of things. Soft and weak overcome hard and strong. Fish cannot leave deep waters, and a country's weapons should not be displayed.